much-loved characters, but none greater than Dame Edna Everage. Gladioli-throwing Melbourne housewife who became the megastar and John to be. It all began in Australia. Welcome to Movies and More with Stacey Hovis and John Brandon. Every week, Stacey and John come to you with the latest movies in the marketplace. Media experts Stacey and John take you to the movies and tell you what's hot and what's not in the media world. Stacey and John host conversations about the topics in the films. Their mission is to guide you through the media world. Okay, audience, here's Stacey and John.
Hello and welcome to Movies and More. I'm Stacey Hovis.
And I'm Connie Bolte. John is on assignment this week. We have a very special guest today. We have a woman who has excelled in NFL cheerleading as a front office executive in the NFL and has become one of the most successful women in film and television production today. If I may, I would like to read you a little bit of her biography. Cindy Villarreal is a versatile network executive producer and showrunner with 30 years of entertainment experience in new media, episodic TV, and feature films, overseeing projects for many broadcasting networks, including the CW, Viacom, Verizon Go 90, CBS, Alloy Media, NFL, and Awesomeness TV, among others, for distribution. Cindy is listed as one of 100 most influential Hispanics by Hispanic Business Magazine, and she was credited as one of the top 10 most powerful women by Austin Business Journal in 2019. She spearheaded diversity content within Viacom, producing hit shows including My Dream Quinceanera and Taking the Stands. She is a streaming TV pioneer in the OTT market, having founded the Cheer Channel television network in 2009, a gamified, immersive streaming platform. She is an A to Z producer, distributing original content to both major TV and new media networks. A passionate storyteller, Villarreal is a screenwriter and consults with over 100 writers for both TV and feature film. Cindy, welcome to Movies and More. What an exciting career you've had.
Well, thank you very much, Connie, for inviting me to be on the show, and to you, Stacey.
Yes, indeed.
From Hollywood.
By all means, yes.
It's my pleasure to join you today.
So, Cindy, how did you get your start in cheerleading that led you eventually to the NFL?
Well, that's a loaded question.
We tend to ask those from time to time. Yes, we do.
Well, cheerleading, I think, must have been in my blood early in life. I got bit by the bug probably around the 5th grade when my school had the mascot called the Cookies. Like a tree, a real cookie. And we thought that was kind of an interesting thing. We weren't an animal. We weren't, we could think of a lot of different mascots, but we were the Cookies, and we didn't have a cheer squad. So we had an idea to create cheerleaders, and the 4 of us got together, and that was the beginning of my cheerleading career.
Oh, how fun!
Once I cheered in elementary school, I continued to cheer, in junior high, and then in high school, I sort of took a little diversion into dance, and I think that's what sort of brought me into the NFL. I was part of the Lanier Bikettes dance drill team, and at the time the drill teams were really big back then, and at the time this drill team from our high school was they were the national champions, so it was no question that that was where I wanted to be. I wanted to be there and in the limelight, because I was used to that limelight being on the sidelines cheering. So I then, when it was one day, I was at my locker in high school, and I saw the front page of the Austin American Statesman, a story on a gal from Austin who had made the Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders. And I remember looking at that and saying to myself, I'm going to be one of those one day. And, I had never been to an NFL game. I didn't, it wasn't on my actual to-do list even when I graduated. But when I went to North Texas in college, I went through sorority rush, and lo and behold, there were half a dozen Cowboy cheerleaders in the sorority I ended up pledging. And
what sorority was that?
Zeta Tau Alpha. And our sorority was known for having a lot of beauty queens and Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders, and a lot of college cheerleaders and were part of the sorority. So I knew at that point I was going to try out either for college cheerleader or for the Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders. And it just so happened that the tryouts were on the same day. And I had to make a decision, and I think I made the right one.
Yeah, sounds like it.
Sure.
It was my first time to try out, and I made the team. And most girls, when they try out, it's, at least back in that time period, you didn't make it your first time. You had to try out 3 or 4 times before you made the team. So I counted myself as very, very lucky and blessed that I was part of that team. I don't think I was probably the best dancer, but I think that I won them over. Maybe it was through the interview process. That was part of it. And I think the other part was just that, I looked a little bit different than the team that was, I would say, 90% blonde. I was brunette. And so I think I sort of stood out, and I had long brown hair. So that was another thing.
So you represent a contrast. You were just different enough to where maybe you stood out, right?
I really did stand out. Yeah.
So being a cheerleader, it requires athleticism. So how did you train, and how did you stay in the shape for that?
Well, what I did was, when I saw that a lot of my sorority sisters were Cowboy cheerleaders, I knew that, they were in shape. I was in fairly good shape already. So, but I knew what to look for. I knew the way that they were dressing when they were going off to practice. So I sort of emulated that, and I began doing a lot of my research, asking them, how often they practice, what are the typical skills, what do I need to know? Is it jazz? Is it ballet? Is it tap? Is it, combination? Is it lyrical? I needed to know. And of course it was all of the above, but really honed in on, just dancing with pom-poms. And so I really tried to look at their photos and make sure that I walked in there looking as if I was a Cowboy cheerleader already. My hair was essentially prepared the same way. My makeup was prepared the same way. I knew that they didn't wear nail polish. So I already did my research when I went in for tryouts. I already had a really, really good sense of if this is what, what they look like, then I know I need to get to that place and look the same way so that I already look like one when I walk in the door.
Fantastic.
Yeah, great idea.
Well, yeah, it's like anything else. Preparation is what's really involved in whatever genre or discipline of business that you're in. And I guess Connie was concerned. Working at that age where, what's the stuff you're taking? The Prevagen. You say, now I don't take it, and as you can tell, I can't remember a thing. But she takes it, and she kind of remembers, I guess, but we forget to take the privilege. I don't know how you get around that or whatever. But dieting, of course, is very important. Now, just a little anecdote. We got involved with. I'm going to give a company a plug that really isn't our sponsor, but we were involved with Nutrisystems, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Right, and that was what I called paid starvation. Okay. And it was okay. And those wonderful little commercials that you see, where they're preparing the pizza and they got the spaghetti and the meatballs and the lasagna.
And so you put the food in front of him and he said, "Is that it?"
Yeah. Well, the thing is, what I'm telling you, what they had on the commercial versus what she put in front of me, night and day difference, But I can only imagine what you had to do as far as the discipline. And I guess that's what Connie was interested in, because frankly, if there were a couple of dieting secrets that you could pass on to like some older folks, we'd be more than interested in. We're just passing that on.
Yeah. So, it wasn't so much that it was there was a dieting secret. I think we were working so hard, spending about 6 hours a day training.
Right there.
And so we were naturally burning off a lot of calories, and I got to where I was losing weight so fast that I ended up taking salt tablets just to try to hold some of that water weight in, because I would go into practice and then I would lose 4 pounds in that 4 hours. And and so I started taking salt tablets, and that actually made me look a little, I think, heavier. And so I got off the salt tablets and started drinking pickle juice. And that worked a lot better. Yeah,
did you say pickle juice?
She did.
Wow.
Pickle juice, yeah.
See, I've been throwing that stuff down the sewer since. We should be saving it. Can you hear that? Pickle juice. That's the key. All right, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
But, there were girls on the team that did struggle with weight. And I do remember one of the dance instructors telling us as a team, "You can live on a salad a day." And I was just dumbfounded that anyone could make that statement, that you could live on a salad a day. Well, yes, in a practical world, you probably could live on a salad a day. But when you're cheerleading and you're
burn up calories
out there holding that kind of practice, you cannot live on a salad a day.
Wow.
Your body needed more nutrition. And so I actually talked about it in my book, because I just thought it was the most ignorant thing that a person could say, especially to girls that are working for you, and in training. It just seemed like they're needed. We had everything around us to make us the best team out there, but the nutritional side, I think at that time and in the 80s, late 80s, 90s in the States, they did not understand nutrition. It would have been nice to have had a Nutrisystem for the cheerleaders at that time.
Right. So, Cindy, explain, if you will, what the transition was like from being an NFL cheerleader to becoming an NFL executive and entertainment director. What were your responsibilities in the American Ireland Bowl and the NFL Pro Bowl?
Sure. Well, after I left cheerleading and decided to hang up my pom-poms, I really wasn't, it really wasn't out of me. I still loved being in that atmosphere. I was still very much addicted to the limelight, and I loved teaching. So I started consulting with both the NBA and the NFL and trying to bring cheerleading into these organizations. So at the time, the Houston Oilers didn't have a cheer team, and the Houston Rockets didn't have a dance team. So I worked with the marketing teams, and I made proposals to them to bring these teams back. When the Houston Oilers decided to bring them back, though, they had hired a former Derek Dahl, which made total sense because she was a former cheerleader for that team. so I wasn't hired to do that, and it really was a bit frustrating for me. So then I focused on bringing the team back for the Houston Rockets, and they did the exact same thing. They said, this is a great idea. Come meet with us. And I met with all of the executives, and, we refined the program and what it would look like. And then they said they were going to be hiring a dance director for the Houston Rockets. And it wasn't me, because I for some reason I think presented myself as the consultant, but not the person that would actually direct the team. So it's a little frustrating.
I hate when that happens.
Yeah.
And I was offered a couple of other, teams in arena football, and none of that really excited me much. So when I heard that the Houston Oilers were looking to replace the gal that they had hired, I was all in. I made that phone call immediately, and they gave me the job. So that was my in, was working as director of entertainment for the Houston Oilers. And I got to, not only did I direct them, I was also the choreographer, and I directed the games. So that was really the first step that sort of trained me on how to run a field, run the the running order, and get that right with the television, CBS and whoever was working the games that day. So I was really preparing myself for that next step into the NFL executive offices out in London, which is where I worked for NFL International and NFL Europe. And so it was really, I think, the highlight for me, because, running game day from the sidelines, I just remember my first bowl game, and I don't know what his name was, but, one of the announcers, he'd been a former NFL player, he said, "Who are you? Everyone's talking about you." And, I'm nicely dressed. I'm walking the field. They said, "Who are you?" I said, "Oh, I'm just running game day today." I'm the director. But I was the director of the game. And I had the unique privilege of working directly with CBS and putting the clock together, calling all of the shots from the field to the camera director for CBS, who then, orchestrated the 50 cameras. And that gentleman became my partner. His name was Sandy Grossman, and he was an 8-time Emmy Award winner.
Right.
And later he became my partner, but it was an exciting time for me, because I did not go to school for it.
Right.
I had to land at the right place at the right time.
Did you meet Brent Musburger by chance when you were with CBS? Was he so involved with that?
The name sounds familiar, but
okay, that might have been a little bit before your time. Okay, no problem.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I remember back in the day there was he kind of shared some space with Jimmy the Greek, the odds maker in Las Vegas.
Oh, yes.
And I kind of remembered him from back in those days. I'm sorry, kind of go ahead. I didn't mean to steal your thunder. Go ahead.
I was just kind of wondering how difficult it was to understand all the nuances. And I understand you did the Army Bowl and the Orange Bowl and the Defense Bowl games. So how did you prepare for that?
Well, like I said, I was directing the America Bowl game, and for the NFL, and I think that's really what prepared me to do the other bowl games that I did, and so I was able to, I knew how to prepare the entertainment, how to do pregame and halftime and call the shots, during each quarter. So it wasn't like, once you do it, you just know how to do it. Okay. You're already working with the camera and you plan it out. So you write down from the very beginning, 2 hours before the game, what's happening second by second. And when you're going to take your commercial breaks, when you're going to do your interviews. So it's all in your running order well before you start the game. So you're not just making it up. You have a scheduled running order. And if you miss something, then you go back to it and you try to, switch it up. So there was one time, I think it may have been at one of the Orange Bowl game, but where we cut off the anthem singer, and we cut the commercial. So we had to go back and get that anthem singer later when we had a
Do a
gap.
pickup, sure.
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
So it does, it did happen, but I really didn't, like I said, there wasn't a whole lot of prep because the prep was in, before the game ever began. We're inserting with skydivers, anthem singers, guards, and coin flip, and you're putting everything in from when the teams are coming in to prior to that when you've got your your flyovers.
Right.
So everything is orchestrated into a timeline, and all of your breaks. What commercials are coming in. When your breaks are, because maybe on the field during the commercials you've got a punt, pass, and kick happening.
Right.
So you're sort of working around those things, making sure that the television audience is getting something instead of seeing what's going on during those breaks on the field.
What year would we be talking about that you were in there at that time? About what year? About what year?
I think she said Orange Bowl. When was the Orange Bowl?
Well, the Orange Bowl is every year, but I mean, what year are we talking about? Calendar year.
I don't know exactly the year. It was in the 90s.
90s. Okay. Well, the reason I asked was.
Yeah, so it was in the 90s.
Okay.
I mean, I started the bowl games in 97.
Okay.
So, I started the bowl. I'm sorry. What year was it? 97. Yeah. 97 was when I started the bowl games. And I'm not sure exactly when I stopped. I want to say it was right before 2002.
Right.
So quite a few years.
Well, now at that time you were still involved with the NFL too. Am I correct with that? You were with the NFL then too?
I started doing bowl games in the NFL, but then I had my own company, and it was a sports marketing agency called Proforma Sports.
Okay.
And we started doing our own. Projects with the properties that we were representing and producing. Sometimes we'd produce a pregame or a halftime or a postgame. But in addition to that, I was also directing.
Okay. Well, there was, you mentioned a former NFL player that was around CBS. Does the name Dan Dierdorf mean anything to you? Do you remember that name, Dan Dierdorf?
No.
He was a Pro Bowler with the old St. Louis Cardinals back in the day. He was a friend of mine. Well, you just didn't run into anybody that I know. That's obvious. Okay, no biggie. Go ahead, Con. You had another question for our thing.
This one is about how it felt when your information got exhibited into two different halls of fame, and being the only cheerleader to be exhibited in the College Football Hall of Fame. How did that feel?
Well, obviously it felt amazing and humbling at the same time. I did get into my high school Hall of Fame, I think within 5 years after graduating, which was a complete surprise to me because I just, I had no idea that they even kept up with the things that I was doing, much less being nominated. So it was really a treasure. And then, later to be contacted by Bernie Tisch of the College Football Hall of Fame that I was being added to that, and that there were going to be, I think, 6 exhibits around my, things in my life that I had done, including my best-selling book, A Cheerleader's Guide to Life. And I think that, at the time, I probably didn't realize what or how big this was. It was just a big thing that happened. And I didn't really realize that because at the time I was so many other things that were happening in my life at the same time. And it was, so looking back on it, was it exciting and wonderful? It absolutely was. But I was also directing the Houston Oilers, Derek Dolls, and I was director of entertainment, and my book had just come out, and I was in the Hall of Fame. So it was like so many different things had been happening at the same time that I really didn't get to relish it as much as I wish I could have.
No.
I was invited.
But it was still an incredible honor.
They awarded me that. Yeah. I was invited up to Notre Dame, and unfortunately it fell on a trip that we were doing with the Derek Dolls. So I wasn't able to make it.
I was getting goosebumps.
Well, that certainly is. I mean, to be recognized, you obviously were a tremendous talent. You brought a lot to your profession, and I think back of the many exciting games I watched with Dallas. This goes back a few years when they were in the Super Bowl with Pittsburgh, and it was a very exciting game. Unfortunately, they lost to Pittsburgh. They won the Super Bowl at that point. But I know how hard you trained. I was a high school and a college wrestler, and I wrestled in the Navy. And when you're talking about losing 4 pounds, basically doing what I would call it's kind of like exaggerated calisthenics. When you're wrestling, someone asked me one time, "Well, how would you describe wrestling?" I said, "Well, imagine pushing a car for 6 minutes, only the car's pushing you back." Okay, that's what wrestling is. But I would tend to lose a tremendous amount of weight, and the thing is that you do have to you have to rehydrate, and the salt pills are certainly important, particularly if you're outside where it's warm. You want to be we want to keep your metabolism together, because so many people that I know that I used to wrestle with, they would cut weight, they wouldn't stay hydrated. They wouldn't take sodium or salt pills, and they paid the price for it. What we found out was that you get cramps real easy. So the bottom line was you were protecting yourself, and that's the main thing. And that's what we have to tell young athletes. You have to be careful.
Yep, you're right.
So tell us about some of the magazines that you were featured in, and
we've only got about a minute left. I tell you what, why don't we catch that when she comes back? Okay. We have to be real careful on our time because my able-bodied producer over here is giving us the red light in just a few seconds. So we want to make sure we don't run out of our time. But when we come back,
in the next half hour, Stacy's going to go through your transition into film and in the television industry. So,
okay,
right.
So please stick around.
Yes, absolutely. And I tell you what, you've obviously led a very, very exciting career through this point that we've covered, and really the best is yet to come. I mean, your transition from what we were just talking about into the world, the industry of film and television production. And that's what we're really looking forward to doing. So we want everybody to stick around, and we're going to hear more about what's going on. And I guess the two things we want to talk about, you had success with 2 shows. So anyway, stick around for more movies and more with Cindy, Connie, and Stacy.
Do you want to become a radio show host, or do you want to create a radio show? Well, Dr. Stan Fine can help you to have your own radio show and put you on 100 cities daily across the U.S. And you can immediately start recording from a live radio studio. As a radio industry veteran, Dr. Stan Fine has 12 years of experience and has produced and hosted over 1,000 radio shows with over 10 million listeners. Dr. Stan Fine knows how to make this happen for you. He's a pro, and he can turn your dreams into a reality. Dr. Stan Fine will help you with everything from learning how to promote your show, develop a host persona, interview techniques, market your show on social media, teach you how to get guests, and
sponsors, and more. Dr. Stan Fine can put you on the air nationwide daily to 100 cities. If you're interested in making your dream come true, if you want to see how it all works, then give Dr. Stan Fine a call at 314-710-8413. That's 314-710-8413. You've got nothing to lose, and Dr. Stan Fine can help make your nationwide radio dreams come true. If you're looking for a new informative health and lifestyle show to gain knowledge and inspiration to help guide your journey to think, work, and live more powerfully, then you need to listen to Sage Advice with Melissa. Now, whether you're trying to improve your life from a mental, physical, or spiritual journey, Sage Advice with Melissa Coleman, CEO of Sage Skincare, delivers weekly advice from industry experts to provide you with insightful suggestions to allow you to thrive with a better quality of life. Melissa's mission? To guide you through the uncharted waters of health and wellness and to give you a voice to help improve your life. So be sure to tune in to Melissa. You'll be glad you did.
Hey, listeners, saying thanks to your customers is nice and polite, but expressing your gratitude in memorable and ongoing ways can boost your business. At Promo Experts LLC, we exceed our customers' expectations. For over 20 years, our product knowledge and experience has helped them with their marketing initiatives and trade show graphics. We are happy to put that experience to work for you. Quality products, great customer service, and prices are our number one priority. We work with you to find unique, creative, and new ideas that fit your image and expectations, helping you build strong relationships with your customers. When you select Promo Experts as your marketing partner, we help you to see more than the big picture. For more information about this exciting opportunity, contact Diane Carson, President, at 636-458-5241. That's 636-458-5241. Let Promo Experts help you to move your business brand beyond the bland. Have you always wanted to write your own book but don't know where to start? Publishing Concepts, a publishing company located right here in St. Louis, offers everything from consulting, book printing, copyrights, ISBNs and barcodes, print book layout, ebook and iBook layout, graphic design, cover design, ghostwriting, typing and editing, distribution, marketing, and more for an affordable price. Visit publishingconceptsllc.com or just Google Publishing Concepts to get started today, or call 314-781-8880. That's 314-781-8880. Publishing Concepts. We help you sell more books.
In today's economy, there are more people looking to buy and sell businesses than ever before. When a company owner needs to sell their business, they can't just stick a for sale sign in the window. They need the assistance of a business broker to locate and vet potential buyers. On the other side, buyers rely on the broker to help facilitate the process of evaluating potential businesses and franchises for sale. A Transworld Business Advisor is the solution for both scenarios. Transworld Business Advisors focus on three core concepts: business brokerage, franchise consulting, and franchise development. Transworld has specialized in the sale of business and commercial real estate. Today, Transworld Business Advisors is a global network of brokers offering a turnkey solution for those that want to build a solid business and future for themselves while maintaining a balanced quality of life. With our comprehensive training program, full marketing support, and local field support, you won't have to start from scratch. Our trained experts and members will help you every step of the way. Transworld Business Advisors has 40 plus years of experience, 10,000 plus businesses sold, and 600 plus brokers, 250 offices worldwide. For a free initial consultation, call Charlie Scarlett, business broker, or Billy Rowland, business broker, at 636-400-6100. Again, that's Charlie Scarlett, business broker, or Billy Rowland, business broker, at 636-400-6100.
Many small businesses do not have a marketing manager. In many cases, it is the company owner that drives marketing and sales efforts with the gut instinct to survive. Even when small businesses do have a marketing manager, though, many of them are trying to navigate through the complex sales and marketing landscape with little to no success or budget.
How to Promote Your Business with Limited Money is a general purpose how-to business book written for business owners and marketing professionals by business owners Dr. Stan Fine and Joseph W. Clote. This guide is not intended to be read as a front-to-back chapter book and rather serves as a quick reference guide. Refer to this book as you need specific information and skip around as needed.
Promoting your business with limited money is one challenging feat, but there are unlimited ideas you can apply to achieve objectives you pre-establish. So, put on your marketing hat and let's take action to start showing your prospects the value your business delivers.
A little you need to know about Dr. Stan Fine. During his 60-year career, Dr. Fine has become an authority on sales and marketing business development issues. His presentations have made him much in demand as a speaker and seminar leader. He has taught business development topics at numerous universities across the United States and has conducted over 500 sales and management seminars. Some of Dr. Fine's credentials in corporate America are currently Dr. Fine serves as a co-host of the Your Business radio show on KRH 92.9 FM in St. Louis and a co-host of Nationwide Daily Radio Show on my Genre Radio Network on the Xeno Media platform. In 100 cities, he is also on a daily TV show on the Valuable TV and the Real TV networks. Go and get a copy of How to Promote Your Business with Limited Money today.
To purchase your copy of How to Promote Your Business with Limited Money, go to It's Your Business website at www.itsyourbusinessradio.com.
And welcome back to Movies and More. I'm Stacey Holders along with Connie Bolte. And for the first half hour, we've had the real pleasure of interviewing Cindy Villarreal, who was a former NFL cheerleader. And her other discipline of business is film and television production, which we're going to kind of talk about now. You've been in, Cindy, you've been in scores of magazines that feature you as a cheerleader, the NFL executive, as we talked about, and, of course, as a businesswoman. These things had led to your being documented within the Texas Historical Society archives. Reality TV world, as you probably represent Latinos in sports and media. I know that had to be just a very, very proud thing for you and your family. So tell us about it. Tell us about that whole experience.
Well, it's, I have been, wow, it's taken back. I think every time I think about, how much, I guess, I was publicized. I think in those days, I think that would have been equivalent to, what a major influencer is today. Only we didn't have, we didn't have social media in the day. Right. Literally hundreds of magazines all over Mexico and in Europe. So bigger outside of the United States, but certainly was on the cover of cheerleader. Cheer Coach and Advisor magazine as the ambassador to cheerleading. Other, magazines, within the pages. I was in Glamour magazine, another one it was Glamour out of the United Kingdom. So it seemed like, I think certainly I was more of a bigger success outside of the United States than I was here. But it always was such a surreal type of feeling, to see, myself on these covers and within the pages. Yeah, it was an amazing thing. But, I think certainly, moving into, the business world and, to see that they have record of, my time as a director. And it's always nice to kind of go back to and look at that. And my kids tell me now, wow, you're tough, Mom. You're really tough.
Well, you are tough.
You're tough on these girls. And yeah, I was tough. And, it's interesting to see, that my kids are the age of the kids that were on the cheer team at the time when I was directing. Right. And I think, in a lot of ways, I was like their mother. And even though I wasn't old enough to be their mother, I was giving them sort of life skills that they needed to survive in life, to present themselves in a way that was to be above reproach. That these were things that sitting in the positions that they were in, that they had a responsibility to present themselves, as real. I don't want to. How would I say it? So I really wanted them to present themselves as people that others could aspire to.
Right.
Very human, but yet, so I really wanted them to be able to relate to anybody at any level, okay? And regardless of the age or the demographic or the, what their, personal circumstances, I wanted them to be relatable and approachable, but at the same time, it was important to me that they were above reproach and that they could be aspired to.
Sure. Well, when I was young, I remember my mom and dad saying, well, Stace, when you go out on the street, just remember, it's not just you, but it's your family and your background that you're representing. So at all times, carry yourself with dignity and pride. And I think that's basically what you were saying with your children, Cindy. You wanted them to have the basis of kind of the success, motivation, which I know you instilled in them, and that they're probably carrying today, and that's a wonderful thing that a parent can pass on to a child. It really is. That's great. Well, Cindy, you transitioned from professional cheerleader and the NFL front office executive / entertainment director into the film and television industry. Now, coming from that type of a background and then coming into what I call our industry, the film and television content production business, it's no easy chore. Tell us what that was like, what challenges you were encountering. And I always ask this because I got to tell you, I was a macho guy. I came up from where the women are in the kitchen and that kind of nuclear family stuff. The Leave It to Beaver, June wearing the pearls in the bedroom, or no, well, she did wear them in the bedroom.
The high heels.
The high heels. There you go. So there you go. That stuff's not working with the memory thing. I can tell you that. But the point was that here we have a woman entering into what at one point in time was considered a good old boys network, the film and the production business. You didn't hear female directors or producers, but yet here you were entering into that genre. So share with our audience what kind of challenges you were up against, what you faced getting into that, okay?
Well, I can tell you at the NFL level, no challenges at all. I never saw myself as, somebody different.
Right.
It never occurred to me that I was the only woman or that I may have been the only Hispanic at that. I didn't notice until later, much later, that, most of the women in the executive offices were the secretaries. But it never really occurred to me until looking back on it. So I didn't notice, I didn't notice that at the NFL level because I was being promoted for what I thought was good work. I worked really hard. I was the first person there in the mornings, and I was the last person to leave at night. And the president and vice presidents knew it. They knew I worked hard, and it didn't go without recognition. It was something that they noticed even when I worked at NFL International and NFL Europe. They noticed I was the first person there and the first person to leave. I was always the one, giving my extra time. And I think that's one of the things that drives me is to make sure that, when I'm preparing a program or anything that, I'm giving it everything that it needs so that it's going to come off without a hitch. So I wouldn't say that in that transition, I faced any hurdles really. But I definitely did in Hollywood.
Wow.
I definitely saw the good old boy, and it didn't matter how successful you were. When you come to Hollywood, you're a nobody in their eyes. And I wasn't the first, and I probably won't be the last,
Right.
because it happened with numerous people from, the Kennedys and others who wanted to get involved in the movie business. And, and they were sort of fleeced. Their investment's gone or whatever, so it didn't matter. It doesn't matter who you are when you come into Hollywood. If you're not on the top of the mountain in the in crowd, which is a good old boys crowd, you're in the valley and you're looking up. And I certainly, when I got here, I thought, oh, well, it's going to be so great. They're going to know me, they're going to be so excited to meet me. Not a chance.
Well, the thing of it is, the other day we were talking to a police officer, a female police officer, and she came on board. Now, this is back like in the 80s when she first came into the department, and she faced that good old boy network, if you will. And she got through her initial police academy training and so forth. And then she looked around, and at that point in other departments, women in law enforcement were kind of a rare breed. They were almost non-existent. But by her sticking to it, having a tremendously good career, a lot of other ladies came into the department. And I think what you're talking about, the example you were giving your babies, I think that shines through now. Now, of course, today, this year, 2023. There are many, many women producers, directors, and so forth. But somebody had to break the mold. Somebody had to be, up there and saying we can do it. And so I think you should take a great deal of pride in the fact that you hung in there when maybe, like you say, it wasn't always the easiest thing. But you paid your dues, and you sure got in the club without any question about it. Now, what I want to ask you, as a creator of content for both television and movies and so forth, you created the teen hit series Secret Diary of an American Cheerleader. Now, when I read that, I thought, now how in the hell did she come up with that idea? that had to be a real tough assignment, that's for sure. But as well as having produced several scripted film productions, please tell our audience what some of the challenges were in achieving a hit show, what I'm going to say fairly early in your career.
Yeah, I'm so glad you asked that, because, if people only see the end result and they think, oh, amazing, you have such enormous following for this show, and, and a cult following, because, these kids, after they saw the show, were creating their own fan pages and fanfics on a series. And that was so exciting to see, and such validation. It was, it was hard. I had never, produced a scripted series before.
Mm-hmm.
I had an idea for a show, and I wanted to involve real cheerleaders. And I knew that I wouldn't be able to really give them a lot of dialogue because they weren't actors. They were trained gymnasts. And, so how do you mesh the two? And I also wanted to keep it unique for the cheer industry, which, there are thousands of cheerleaders at every level, from, recreational sports, school cheerleaders, college cheerleaders, pro cheerleaders, parents of cheerleaders, international cheerleaders, and I really wanted it to be a show that was for everyone, that would attract the, billion cheerleaders that were out there.
Right.
And so I created it with that in mind, that it was new. And what I didn't expect was a lot of the pushback from those that were jealous in the industry, that, we were the first to put cheerleading on TV with the Cheer Channel, and folks in the cheerleading industry were jealous. And, that it should have been their idea to come out with the first cheerleading network.
Right.
It should have been them to come out with their own show. And it was just really, really hard not to take that personal. That said, we did something really special and right from day one. We created our own, what we called Superstars of All Stars. And these were influencers within the cheerleading industry. We found out who the top cheerleaders were for whatever reason. They were, the Flyers or, Pretty Girls or affiliated with some of the best teams or whatever. The up and coming, really super talented kids. And we pulled them together and put them in our show. So having selected 8 Superstars of All Stars, I think that was really our winning recipe and really is what put us on the map with our network. And but coming up with a show like that, like Secret Diary, it was and it remains to be a name that everybody, if you've been a cheerleader, then you'll recognize that show.
Right. Cindy, we've got a few minutes left, and I want to talk about something that you and I discussed a little while back, and that's your desire to produce what would be faith-based genre film and television. I know that's near and dear to your heart. Can you tell us, first off, the inspiration behind it and where you see yourself going? And, we talked about some of the big hits in Hollywood really have been faith-based productions. So walk us through that, will you?
Well, a lot of people talk about all of the achievements that I've made, but what they don't know is that none of it belongs to me, and I would never have achieved anything if it weren't for my dear Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. So I am a believer and do feel that God carved a path for me. He has ordered my steps, and although I don't always know where I'm going, I do trust that He is going to lead me into whatever His mission is for me at this, at any given time. And I think right now my heart and soul is definitely into bringing back family values and preserving family values. I see our world is in a state of confusion and division, and that breaks my heart. And I know if it's my heart, it probably really does break the heart. And so I feel a desire to want to please Him and try to reach as many hurting people as possible and share the gospel of Jesus Christ. And if I can do that through, just planting even just good seeds of respecting one another and valuing other people's opinions and serving each other, being a true friend to others that may not be like you, that may not have the same, upbringing, then I think I'm doing the Lord's work. And so it doesn't have to be solely faith-based. I think it needs to be the messages that Christ carried with Him, and that is to reach out to all people, regardless of where they came from, without judgment, and just do it in love.
And you feel that that's possible given the fact that, you've had some people that have kind of paved the road for you a little bit with that genre. You take Mel Gibson, The Passion of the Christ, huge box office success. And I guess Marky Wahlberg did a fairly low budget, what I'm going to call independent film, and that was Father Stu. I don't know if you guys had a chance to see that film or not.
I did. I watched them both.
but yeah. the latter was just a really great thing. I mean, here's a guy that was anything but on the straight and narrow, and at some point he realized the wrong in his life, and he looked to a higher power to try to guide him maybe through his own personal transition. And with the help then of the church, he actually, the Marky Wahlberg character, Father Stu, if you will, became a priest. And I guess he was probably well into his 30s at that point when he decided to, to spread the word, if you will. Very, very tough to do. And then, darn the luck, not to give it away, but he had some of his own challenges. Now, from the success formula for that show, I am told that they made that film, and you can appreciate this as a film producer, for I think it was under $1 million, $1.5 million in that range, and went on to gross like $25 million box office. And of course, now it's in the streaming networks and so forth. So there's people out there that are hungry for inspiration, for direction. And I think what you've just said really kind of puts a cap on it. At this point in time, there's so much wrong in the world. And, if we get a message out there, positiveness, we don't have to constantly be a slave to the slasher or the horror flicks or all the rough, X-rated content stuff. There are some really genuine, good, down-home stories that can carry with it a message, and not necessarily, be overboard on the religious end or whatever, but just good, wholesome, family-valued stuff. And I think if I hear you, that's what you're talking about producing, right?
I think it's just being able to get back and into a place where we respect one another, and it's just these principles of that we learned maybe in kindergarten. Respecting one another, waiting your turn, not having to agree. You can listen to others. You can dialogue without having to agree. We were made different for a reason. So, that's, I think, important that we embrace that and we do that in love. And if I can bring just traditional, I think, life skill topics to the screen that that show people that these family values are they matter, that they matter yesterday and today and tomorrow, I think then I am doing God's work.
Well.
I appreciate you. I appreciate you asking. I am launching a ministry. If I could share what that's
No, go right ahead.
I would love to share that.
You go right ahead.
So I am launching next month my new ministry called IntoTheLightDaily.org. Into the Light Daily is the ministry, and for anybody out there who would care to pray for me, I could use those prayers. And but this is a ministry of prayer, and I really want to show other believers what God is calling us to do, which is to pray persistently, and it is urgent to reach those out there that may still be struggling.
Well, I tell you what, we're getting down to where we've got about a minute left. Do you have another website other than the one you just talked about? I would like you to repeat that in the time we have left. Is there another website where our listeners could go to find out about movies that are out there now, real quick?
Sure. Well, you can always find out about me through IMDb.
Yes.
So I am on IMDb, and I do have my own personal website.
Okay.
It's not that updated, but it's CindyVillarreal.com. So CindyVillarreal.com. And my new ministry is IntoTheLight.org. And that hopefully will be up in the next 3 weeks. Trying fast and furious to make the NRB life.
Well, we'd like to thank Cindy Villarreal for being our guest today on Movies and More.
Thank you, Cindy.
And along with Connie Bolte, thank you so much. And we want to remind you not to forget to take your mom to church this Sunday. And we'll see you next time. Have a good, safe, blessed week. Take care.
And it's my pleasure. Thank you.
You bet. Bye-bye.
says they're seeking provisions that don't take away from the bill's intent, but rather give local governments reasonable control for a successful rollout.
Through our requests for more zoning authority for revenue sharing, all we're asking is that we're going to be partners as local governments with the state.
She acknowledges the revenue sharing component could be an even bigger priority for rural communities, with those local governments needing more resources for things like compliance checks. Leading up to the floor vote, some of the league's requests were only in one version, possibly setting the stage for both chambers to have to come together to address differences. I'm Mike Moen.
And more than 15,000